today's session 3, we talked about, if you go back in session 1 and session 2, we started off with what we call it as, that organization should pay salaries fairly and equitably. Then we talked about 3 kinds of equity, right? Anybody who remembers these 3 kinds of equity? Yes.
Internal,
My
external,
only
and
target is then I can see Arjun, so I'll say, hey Arjun. Yeah. What are those 3 kinds of equity we were talking about?
Three things where the person is comparing the
Internal equity,
internal equity,
external equity, and
And
individual
individual
equity.
yes.
So these are the 3 things which are very, very important in an organization when you're designing a compensation structure. Why? Needless to say that, if you don't pay the appropriate salary, like I was just reading somewhere, last year, 60% of the people dropped, there was attrition in a particular organization because the salaries they were paying low salaries. So such like things of either attrition or not able to attract, retain, you'll have all these issues if you are not fair the way you pay internally and not competitive enough with respect to the market, and also not taking into consideration that if you are a high performer, what is that you really give him to motivate him. So we talked in the last session, we talked about how do we and evaluate jobs and establish the value or the worth of the job. Got it? What did we do? We actually understood how do we evaluate. We did job evaluation and establish the worth or the value of the job. Why? Only when we know how large is the job, what is the worth of the job, is this value high or low, then correspondingly, then we can club together, group together jobs of equal value and then pay them. But if I don't even know, then it is like, okay, fine, handshake. Arjun will get more. Mahindra will get less. I have no criteria, right? The way I'm paying people. So then there'll be inequity. So that is what we did. Job evaluation. We discussed 2 methods, job grading and point method, which were very, very important and critical. Now, today what we are going to do is we're going to do how do organizations, be competitive. One is how are they fair, equitable, by ensuring that internally they're establishing value. But today what we will see is how can we be competitive? Is it important to be competitive? If I'm not going to be competitive, then I can lose my people, or I will not be able to attract people, retain people, because they will go to my competitors. Just now, Hema was mentioning if we don't do this, if we don't dole out all these things, then we will lose people to our competitors. Okay, which is a common theme. So we are going to focus on external equity. Along with it, we're also going to talk about certain key compensation analytics, which is like compa ratio, okay, green circle, red circle, etc. And then in addition to that, I will actually start off giving you, I'm not going to give you in-depth understanding of Hay method, but I'm sure you would like to know, as all compensation specialists, this Hay method. Some of you must have heard about it, which is also a point rating method. I'm going to give you a little overview of the Hay method. Okay. Has anybody heard of Hay method? None. Anyway. Okay. So it's going to be just an overview, but anybody who's very much interested, then definitely I can send in some reading material on Hay method, etc. Now, let me first talk about this. So, Hay method is a very, very popular method, which also uses the point method. So if you say, hey, but we have done only the point method, we did not do the Hay method. So the Hay method is a very popular but proprietary instrument. Okay. And it is one of the techniques of job evaluation method, which uses the point method. And just to give you a little understanding, this Hay is the oldest method. It was somewhere in the early 1950s it was developed. Now, so it was developed during the time when it was industrial, like, a lot of manufacturing organization. It was the industrial era, and they wanted to be fair in the way they were paying jobs. Now, in order to do that, uh, they had actually developed, Edward Hay and Dale, we call them, they developed this method, and popularly used method, which is widely used, and it helps in evaluating at the executive level, manager level, and also professional level, and also includes clerical, blue collar people, and technical people as well. Now, the most important thing is, when you use this method, you don't have to create compensable factors. You don't have to create all the definitions for those compensable factors. You don't have to create the uh, points for it, because it comes as a it is a it's a proprietary instrument. So it comes, the design itself is such that it has three compensable factors, and it comes with all the populated plan, which we call it as guide charts. So you don't have to do anything. So what does one do? You just start identifying the positions for which you have to do job evaluation, take the job descriptions, and then start evaluating. Now, what does the instrument look like, and how do you calculate points? Now, this Hay method has three compensable factors. What are they? Know-how, problem solving, and accountability. So these are the three compensable factors. What are they? Know-how, problem solving, accountability. Now, when we say know-how, the Hay method, it further divides it. It has a subset of compensable factors, because it says any job exists because it has a role and it has an accountability. So now, to do that, they say you need technical know-how. Okay. Then you need managerial know-how. And also you need what? The behavioral, which we call it as a human relations. So these are the three sub-compensable factors. Now, the next compensable factor, according to Hayes, problem solving, which is called PS. It says, in order to do certain thing, you will actually have certain challenges, and to do these challenges, you need this know-how. So in the problem solving, it has two sub-compensable factors. It says the job, how much does that job actually give that environment, which is actually called thinking environment. As per the Hay guide, it says thinking environment. And then what is the challenge there? In problem solving, one is the thinking environment and the other is the analytical challenge. Two sub-compensable factors. In accountability, what does it say? How much of freedom this job has, freedom to act. What is the impact? Is it at a small level, medium level, big level impact? And what is the magnitude? Okay. So these are the compensable factors. These are the sub-compensable factors. All right. So how do you then do it? Then you have, under know-how, you're going to calculate points. Under problem solving, you're going to calculate points. Under accountability, you're going to calculate points. And then say these, you'll add up all of them and say these are the total points for this position. Okay. So just to reiterate, know-how, problem solving, accountability, and these are the sub-compensable factors. Now, how does it work? Say, for example, this is what it is, three sub-compensable factors. Technical, right? It's a cognitive, no? Technical, anything is cognitive. So it is given. So when you use a Hay method, this is, you don't have to do anything. It is given. What, can you see it? I will send a big note, guys. if you really can't see much of it. Okay. So this is given. All that you need to know is in the technical know-how, the levels are from A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. And it has those what definitions in terms of technical skill requirements, typical skill requirements, and whatever training is needed typically. But essentially, this is the definition. Okay. If you are saying A, it is primary. If you are saying B, it is elementary, semi-skilled, simple, repetitive. If you are saying C, it is vocational. So these are the definitions. Next. So you must understand that there are three sub-compensable factors. This is for the technical know-how. This is for the managerial know-how. So what is it? T for the managerial, it's only at task level. Then after that, it has been divided into 1, 2, 3, and 4. At one level, it is individual. 2, it is homogeneous. 3, it is diverse. And 4, it is integration of broad major functions. So this is the highest level. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what is the next one which is left? It is behavioral. So in behavioral, basic, B, important, critical. So they have written it as category, what are the kind of components, activities, and what kind of a behavioral change should it bring. At a basic level, not much. At an important level, moderate. And at a critical level, very high. Now, what is important for you is simply just see what do they do. Then how do you derive points for know-how? Say, for example, the first technical know-how is D, huh? And the managerial scoring is 1. And say, for example, and the human relations is 3. You have a score sheet like this. Okay. You have a score sheet like this. Then what will I do? So just remember it was D1, 3. Now I will just tell you. So you have to identify A, B, C, D. So this is D, right? D. Then next is 1. So this is 1. And the other one is what? BIC 1, 2, 3. So the other one is this one. So you have to now say, here it is. So advanced, vocational, and what is it? The points are how much? 200. Say for example, E, I plus and 3. Now can you just see E? Which is E? This one?
Right.
Basic specialized. Okay. Then it is critical I and it is 3. So it is 264. So once you identify in those 3 sub-compensable factors as per their chart, then you can actually circle the total point value. Is that very clear, guys? Huh?
Why
Okay.
it is
In fact, Manish, yeah.
why it is as I plus? It's EI, so why it is mentioned as I plus? It comes under
Yeah, yeah.
C.
Pardon?
It comes under C.
See,
Why it mentioned as I plus?
no. BIC is actually 1, 2, okay, and 3. So you can see that. Okay.
Okay.
I plus, so this is I. So subcategory I plus. So you don't have to take into consideration because it's just wanting to emphasize here. 1, this is the 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4. And this relates to this one. Got
Please
it?
walk.
Okay.
Homogeneous.
Yeah. Likewise, if I were to say under problem solving, how many compensable factors were there? Sub-compensable? 2. Thinking environment and analytical challenge. Now, these 2 dimensions, how will you analyze? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. Thinking environment. So they have their own definitions. Got it? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, repetitive, R, patterned, P, I, interpolative, adaptive, uncharted, and you have definitions for this. So when you evaluate the job and then you will circle which is it, then how will you do that? There's a little change here when you are calculating the point. Say, for example, I will use D, and 3. Okay, got it? This one, huh? Now, D and 3. So what will you do? D, this one, right? And 3 will be what? This one. So what is it written here? 33%. 33%. So how are you going to calculate points here? So problem solving is 33% of the know-how. So how many points, if you have calculated, say for example, in the earlier one, we calculated how many? 264, then 33% of 264 will be 87 points. So under problem solving, you will have 87 points. Got it? Okay. So in fact, Hayes evaluation becomes much simpler because it is detailed, and provided your job description, your position description is really comprehensive and it captures all that the job does. Got it? Okay. Now, what is the next one? Accountability. How do you do it? Accountability. Again, you have freedom to act because there are 3 sub compensable freedom to act: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. Then you have this impact and magnitude. All right. Now, how do you calculate? I'll just go straight to the table. Say, for example, we are looking at scoring of D. Okay. D, freedom to act. And then it is 1 and C. So how do you do it? If you look at this freedom to act, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Say, for example, this is D. So this is the one you're going to take. And then this is impact, small, not quantified, very small, small. So it is under 2. Then what is it? P. What is P? One second. Primary, shared, contributive. So these are the ones. Okay. So it is P. So if you can see, there is a P here. What are the, how many points?
115. 115.
115. So you have 115. Now what will be the total points? You have to add up 264 plus 87 plus 466. So that will be the total points. Then the rest is the same what you did. Like for example, you did the regression, right? So you actually then put the total points of every position, look at the market data, do the regression, and that's what all the consultants do. Are you with me, Manish?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's clear. Okay. So in fact, I will send you a couple of handouts on Haybook, which will be very, very clear because we don't have so much of time to go through each and every compensable factor and show you. But then that becomes much easier for you. So just to give you a recap, what is it? You have 3 compensable factors in Hay. Know-how is typically called as KH. Problem solving is typically called PS. And accountability is called ACC. Now, know-how has 3 subcompensable factors: and PS has 2, and accountability has 3. Now, Hay methodology has this is called the chart. What? Guide chart. Okay, where all the points are given. So if you notice, like for ACC, you have this freedom to act, impact, and also magnitude. And then you can actually evaluate the job based on all those definitions, and then circle the point which is after evaluation, which comes, which is equivalent to the job. Likewise, you do it for know-how on the 3 dimensions, and also for PS on the 2 dimensions. Then add up the total point value. But in Hayes methodology, problem solving is a percentage of the know-how. Okay? All right. Now, also interestingly here, what happens, just to show you, if you notice, they also have done a lot of research, and they said that typically in organization, there are roles where you have high problem solving, in the sense that when you create a pie, huh, okay, then the problem solving pie is of a much higher points. Like, for example, can you tell me which positions will have a high uh, high pie?
Higher positions. So
No,
this
no, no. I'll just take 1 second. I will use I'll just stop sharing this. I think I'll just use. This is a very interesting concept. Sorry, draw. Let me use a thick one. Width. Okay. Very smaller. It was. Okay. Now, say for example, I will use this. Okay. Okay, this is a pie. I'm going to draw. So typically it is represented. Right? Now, know-how, PS, and
account.
ACC. All right. So what they said, say for example, the PS has how many points? For example, 350 points. Then the know-how is also a high, say 300. Huh? Sorry. Yeah. Say maybe about 450. And the accountability might be about, say, 300. So if you look at this, typically the 350 is on the higher side, 450. So there are positions which you have the problem solving and the know-how high. What are those positions? Like the positions where scientists, anything to do with, creativity, innovation kind of positions. Now, say for example, operation positions. Which operational positions, jobs, which compensable factor points will be high?
Accountability and know-how.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? They are all target driven, huh?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
have a lot of absolutely.
Follow the process,
For
kind of.
example, HR and finance. So support jobs. Typically, they will have KH. They will have almost, accountability is there because problem solving is also there. They will have on an equal share. Nothing very high
Good, sir.
accountability. Okay. Now, why is hay is also very popular? What they say typically is that they found with their lot of research of having done job evaluation for a lot of positions, irrespective of the size of the company. What did I say? Irrespective of the size of the company, the total points, what I'm talking about, total points for a particular job, for example, HR manager, will be in the same proportion. What is it? It will be in the same proportion. What does it mean? For example, I'm just writing, I've not decided which job. Say, for example, this is an HR job, 450. 450 is to 350 is to 300. Sorry, 300. What can be the ratio? I'm just trying to see. 35. What will be the ratio? Isn't it so? 9 is to 7 is to 6. Have you understood what is the ratio?
Yeah, you divide it by 5.
Yeah, yeah. So if you divide it, the ratio will be 9 is to 7 is to 6. Did you,
Yeah. Common
Manish?
divisible factor.
Are you thinking loud? Huh?
Yeah. I'm
Huh?
I'm with you. Yeah.
So say for example, an HR manager, the total points here is how much?
1100, 450, 350, 1100.
How much? 1100?
Yeah.
4, 350, 800. Yeah, 1100 on 100. Okay. But this is the total points. Okay. TP. Now, HR manager may not have total 1100 for another small company, but generally the proportion of the KH is to PS is to ACC will be in this ratio. Are you with me? What I have explained to you? It will be in this ratio. KH is to PS is to ACC. Now that is how they validate a position. That is how they validate a position. Say, for example, they are having huge discrepancy in this kind of a ratios because they have a lot of data of so many organizations, they are able to validate. They will also validate depending on if their operational jobs, say, high on accountability, high on problem solving. So these are the kind of things they have checklists to validate. Okay, guys? Yeah. And beyond that, definitely I'm going to help you with a lot of handouts so that you can read about it. All right. Okay. Now we come to the most interesting topic today. Yeah. So this is what it is. If you notice account ACC becoming dominant, the more it goes towards production, it is highly dominant accountability. If you have line production, technical accountability for staff is there, but highest is during productions. And likewise, problem solving becomes very much dominant in the research positions. Okay. And staff positions, okay. It's like, okay, not very high. So this is something, the way what is the compensable factors, points are distributed, in a pie. All right. Okay. Now, in an organization, when we talk about, let us first actually talk about, yeah, 1 second. Okay. First, let me actually do this and then we'll go to market. That will be better. Okay. So when we talk about compensation, every organization should have a compensation philosophy. Okay. Now, this compensation philosophy has to be aligned with the business strategy. But when we say, hey, compensation philosophy, but what does it actually entail? What does it contain? What does it speak about? It speaks about what I talked about is, hey, vis-a-vis the market, where do we want to position ourselves, right? What is the kind of competitiveness we want to have? How do I know competitiveness? From the market. Then all the jobs which are there in my organization, what kind of differentiations will I have by levels or functions? So I will then categorize them by job levels, job functions, etc. Then I can also say, hey, from where am I getting my talent from? Who are my competitors? That also defines my compensation strategy, because then that also defines, hey, how much I'll have to be paying. Then we talked about the components. What kind of admixture, that is the combination of direct versus indirect, then what kind of incentives, variable pays, short-term pays, long-term. So all these actually come into consideration when you're designing your compensation. It is not that, okay, I'm going to just pay base pay salaries, because it all depends on what is that business wants to achieve. Like, for example, I said there is an organization which wants to increase its salaries, like an insurance organization. It will focus more on what? A classic variable pay, sales commissions. I will say I will give you minimum variable base salary, but it will not even bother about benefits, because for me, what matters is revenue, right? While maybe a research organization will say, no, I'm going to pay high base salary. I'm going to give a lot of benefits because I can't afford to have people iterating all the time. I want them to be tenured because my products, my research takes many years. It has milestones. So I will ensure that people will stay for a longer time. So that is the mix of reward elements, or what we call it as pay mix, etc. And then what kind of job evaluation techniques have I used to evaluate my jobs? Then how am I going to reward my people, high performers? And then is it teamwork, or is it individual work, or is it for innovation? So when we talk about compensation philosophy and strategy, all these things come into play. Okay. So having said that, then you also have something called a compensation policy. Have you heard of it? You also define a compensation policy. So just to give you a little understanding of a compensation policy, I will definitely share this. Okay, I'm going to share it a little later, guys. Sorry, but I'm just going to share it a little later. So when we talk about a compensation policy, it talks about whether you want to uh, lead the market, or you want to lag the market, or you want to pay as per the market. So it gives you it's a detailed document. I'm going to share it and also discuss with you. So having said that, this is the compensation philosophy and strategy. So just giving you a little overview of everything. This is something which I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Okay, I'll talk about it a little later. Yes. Let me explain to this so that when I teach market. Now, in the last session, what we looked at what? Point plans. Then we also looked at grades. So every grade, when I say every grade, what does it mean? Jobs of equivalent value are then put in that grade. So every grade will have what? It will have a salary range. What is a salary range? That means a salary with a minimum grade salary and a maximum. Like, for example, if you look at grade 1, what is the salary range, or what is the grade range of this grade 1?
This is
10,000
10,000.
and it can be
25,000.
Maximum
25,000.
25,000.
25,000. And if I talk about grade 5,
65
65,
and
and
90,000.
it can be 80, I think it is about 85,
88.
right?
85.
Okay. So you are understood that every grade will have what? A minimum and a maximum. This is the salary. Even if you look back in your organizations, like maybe, Mahendra is in a particular grade, that grade will have a minimum and a maximum. Okay. Now, why do you think it should have a minimum and a maximum and not just an absolute value? Like, for example, we identified in regression analysis, we looked at a certain position and we said, hey, that position has to be paid 20,000 or 25,000, right? Okay. But then I said you have to create a range around it. Why?
Because different people come with different experiences, so you have to accommodate all of that in order to put them in a particular grade.
Absolutely. I agree. Similar jobs. But if you recall, I talked about in cluster analysis. Now, for money to stay in that grade, pay progression. How will you grow in that grade? Next year, how much increment to give? If I don't create a salary range, then how will every year, as long as he is there in that grade, I'll have to give certain percentage of increment. So to allow pay progression, I have to create a grade. Please, is that clear now? Huh? And then I said, how will you create that range? So the difference between min and max is also called what? Spread or width. If the width is very narrow, it's called a narrow band. If the width is very wide, it's called a broad band. So typically, how do you decide on that? At a lower level grades, people's seniority on an average will be 2 to 3 years because they get promoted. Very easy to learn skills, seniority. But at a middle and a higher level, if you see that their tenure in that grade is longer. So in order to ensure that a person's pay progression is there, I said you have to again do what? I told you mechanically average number of years for a person to stay there. How many years does it take for him to get promoted and go to the higher grade? And then what is the average increment? So calculating average stay multiplied by your increment, you have to create this range. Very clear? Yeah. But typically lower grades will have what? Lower spread, and higher grades will have higher spread. Okay. Now I'm not getting into these pay structures, whether the overlap will be from the midpoint for the next grade, or there is no overlap, that the grade will start from the maximum without any overlap. So these are certain things, they are dependent on the organization to organization. Okay. But definitely you will be getting some reading material where pay structures, especially what? The taking into consideration, will the next grade start from where the maximum of the previous grade, or will it start from the midpoint of the previous grade? But why is it so? Why should the midpoint differential be 0, or why should it have equal midpoint differentials? Because what happens when you don't have midpoint differentials and starts? You tell me, if the new grade starts from 25,000 in grade 2, what will happen? Anybody? I think Meghna.
25,000 new grade.
What will happen if a new grade 2 will start from 25,000? What will happen simply that all these employees who are working in grade 1, they have to go up to the maximum and then start going into the grade 2. Then again, if I have this policy of starting every grade only when the maximum of the previous grade, that means I have to ensure that he stays in that for till that maximum and then gets promoted. But what if I'm a high performer and I just require that minimum number of years of experience, and then how will the organization promote him quickly? Are you now understanding why
There's a
some of
correction which will have to be given over here then
where no.
in terms
So
of the increment.
when you are creating your structures, when you are designing your pay structures, you also have to look at the nature of your business, the nature of your operations, such that you might normally what happens, you actually have a pay structure where the new grade, higher grade starts from the midpoint of the previous
Midpoint.
grade. Huh? Typically. Why?
Mhm.
If a person has come up to 100 and I will just put him one more and he's a high performer, then I can promote him.
Mhm.
But that base salary can be seen even in grade 1. That base salary can be also be seen in grade 2.
Mhm.
Here, can you see? Say, for example, 20,000 can be seen in grade 1 and grade 2, right?
Right.
Can you see? 30,000 can be seen in grade 2, but not in grade 3. But 35,000 can be seen in grade 3. But
Yeah.
there are structures where you can see 20,000, 25,000, or 28,000 in grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 also. That means what happens that their grade starts even lower than the midpoint. That means why? Maybe there, the nature of the organization such that unless and until you are promoting people, then it becomes very difficult to retain them.
Mhm.
So therefore, they have that kind of a structure where you don't have to increase the base salary then. But what happens when I create a structure where unless and until the max, it starts from the maximum of the previous one, then people say, hey, I'm not even going to grade 2. I have to finish all that till the end. I have to go and then. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. Have you understood this concept, guys? Huh?
Yes.
There is
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah. Mm,
Is
mm.
there any objective way to plot this kind of graph using Excel? So I understand that the basic graph is has been made using the
Yeah. In
So
fact, when you
in
plot
my
your data, huh, of your grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 people, their salary ranges here, huh, you can clearly then see in grade 1 how many people are there. Look at the data, min and max. Then again, look at grade 2, min and max. Then
I
you
want
can see,
one
and
step
yeah.
I want to go one step back. So I understand how to plot this graph. So is there any way to plot the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 objectively using some data points, choosing some, salary numbers on the Excel, or how to plot a graph using Excel, how to define the grades on Excel?
Okay, we'll give you that exercise. Okay, teach you and give you that exercise. Done?
Okay.
Nothing like it, right? We'll give you data and you can do that. Huh?
Okay.
I mean, then you will know clearly. So once you do the exercise, then you would know how to plot the data. Then how do you actually create these grades? Done? Okay. So in fact, this is just further saying that, this is the salary range which I've just spoken about for this min, max, midpoint. And I hope everybody knows what is a midpoint. What is a midpoint? Now will be okay. I'll be actually talking about it. Done. I'll be talking about it. Yeah. So when I talk, so here, what is this? Is the 60,000 is the minimum, 90,000 is the maximum. Okay. So this is the what? Salary range. Now, if I were to say midpoint is the midpoint or the center of this range, how will you calculate this?
Median.
As
No,
the
no.
median.
This is the midpoint. I'm coming to median. Don't get confused with that. Every time, any salary range or a salary grade which has a what pay point. So 60,000 and 90,000.
Average.
So we
Average.
talk about a midpoint. We talk about a midpoint. Okay. So I will tell you what's the difference here when you talk about a median also. So what is the how do you calculate this midpoint? Very simple.
90 plus 60 by 2. 2 data points.
Average.
Maximum minus minimum divided by 2.
No, maximum plus minimum, 90 plus 60 divided by 2. 1.5
huh.
divided by 2
Huh.
because I have
Huh.
2 data points. To
Yes.
find the midpoint between 2 data points, I will add them and divide by the number of data points.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So yes. So if you want to do a percentage, what do you do? Divide by
Divide by 100.
multiplied by 100. You will get a 50%.
Yes.
So the spread, what is spread? The width between 90 and 60 is 50%. Okay. Now there is a norm. So if you want to look at it minus plus from the midpoint. Okay. Now typically what happens, the spread, the width is between 10-15% at a lower level. At a middle level, it is about 25 to 35% or 40. And the top level, it is about 45 to above. This is for the narrow banding. But broad banding, anything between 100 to 150%. So we don't really restrict the width. It's only in a narrow banding you restrict the width because the tenuity of people is lower. Yeah, I didn't want to. So how do you do that? Range spread. Because when you add up, what will happen?
Minimum
So
plus
if you want to find out the width of your range, salary range, what will you do? Simple, maximum minus minimum by minimum. Okay? Clear? Okay, let's go to the next one. All right. Okay. Now, when we talk about, there's a very, very important, what is the technical term in compensation, which is called compa ratio. Has anybody heard of compa ratio?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Compa ratio. What does it measure typically, if you have heard, Manish? How does it help?
Compa ratio gives you in theory, it gives you a comparison of how much of an employee's salary is factor of, say, some midpoint of the pay band or say some external salary range.
Yeah. So compa ratio is very important for the fact, you have to understand that it is a measure. And when I say ratio, that means it has two sets of data. One is your own base salary. So if I want to calculate Arjun's comp ratio, I will take Arjun's base salary and then divide it by the midpoint of that band. Divided by the midpoint of that band. Okay. So how does it happen? Say, for example, there is a principal software engineer. Okay. What is his basic salary? 140. You want me to make it? We can see. So what is his base salary? 140.
140,000.
$140,500. Okay. Now, principal software engineers midpoint of that particular grade for which his base salary is 156,483. So all of you, can you first learn to just calculate this? So 140 divided by the midpoint and a percentage of it or a decimal. What is the comp ratio?
So it is calculated just 140,500 upon 156,000.
Use your calculator if you have. All of you, why don't you quickly do this? It will help you all. First of all, learn the formula. Comp ratio is what? Base salary divided by midpoint. And if you want percentage, multiplied by 100. Or you can have it as a decimal. Did you get these values? Comp ratio values?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
These are the same. Yes, ma'am.
Same? Okay, excellent. Now, let me just stop sharing. So what is the formula? The formula is very simple. You take your own base salary and then divide it by the midpoint of that particular grade, right? Say, for example, 8,000 is my minimum salary for a particular band, which is L1. Okay, L1. And 12,000 is my max. Okay, particular grade L1. Now my midpoint will be, oh, sorry. Yeah. Say for example, and 1, 2, 3. What will be my midpoint?
10,000.
Correct. So is this is my midpoint.
Point.
Please understand when we are, so we are talking about comp ratio. So if Manish's salary is 8,000 basic, okay? His comp ratio will be 80%, or it can also be 0.8, right? Huh?
Yes. Yes.
When it is midpoint, it will be
1.
1. And when it is 12,000, it will be
1.2.
point 1.2.
2.
No, what? 1.2, right? Or it is 120%. 120%. It can be 120%. So what does it essentially say? Considering the fact that midpoint is the one which gets aligned when I am actually doing external equity with the market midpoint, okay? With the market, now we are using a median, okay? This midpoint. Then what happens? If I'm paying 120%, what does it mean? I'm paying higher salary, right? More than the midpoint. Now, yes, you can pay higher salary, but maybe this person you're paying salary deserves it because long tenure, experience, etc. So he's reached the max. Now, what happens if most of my people, say for example, most of my people are here, so what happens then? Say these are all positions with this 110% salary, 120% salary. What happens then in this grade? That means I'm paying very high wage cost, right? I'm
Yes.
paying very high, or my people are all highly tenured. Got it? But if a grade has normally, you have here and here, then typically what happens? Then your average could be between anywhere between 100% comp ratio and 90% comp ratio. So therefore, what does it mean? Comp ratio has a direct impact on wage costs. What is it? Comp ratio has a direct impact on wage cost. It helps you to understand whether the employees who are there in their jobs are at a higher cost or at a lower cost. That's one. So therefore, what happens you will do? You will decide your recruitment policy. You will say, hey, I will have people only at an 80% comp ratio. Okay? Or maybe 80% to 90% comp ratio. What happens if you are going to recruit people at 110%? That means he will reach the maximum very quickly. Higher wage cost. So you have to decide, because from the business side, yes, everybody will say, hey, I want, plug and play. I want an experienced guy almost at a very high salary. But so there is a recruitment policy, promotion policy. You will say, hey, promotion policy anywhere between maybe 100% to 120%. Okay. You can also then in your compensation policy, you can write my comp ratio for as per the promotion policy, it will be between 100% to 120% for the high performers who can be shifted to the higher grade. 1. So cost impact. 2. Typically what happens, I'm sure you must have noticed that every time you hire people, say I'm hiring a management trainee, very simple. Last year I hired a management trainee at a I'll say 8,000. This year I've hired him at a management trainee at 9,000 because the market, higher because of the higher market. So therefore, what has happened? But I have not actually increased this guy's compensation at all to the market. But this guy is getting for the same job 9,000, and for the same job, the person who has been employed earlier is getting 8,000. So what has happened? What we call it as what? Salary compression. There are many times, if you notice, most of the organizations which do not design their compensation structures, after I had to do many times in my organizations wherever I went, after 5-6 years when the organization grows, because you go by handshake, and you will see that a lot of people who are actually in the same jobs get much lesser salary as in compared to people who join at a later time. Have you seen that? In the same grade, and then you start saying, see, that guy is getting more and I'm getting less, but I'm doing the same job. I'm in the same grade. So is it fair? So what do you do then typically?
Correct.
But
Yes, sir.
first of all, why did it happen? Because you have not made any market corrections. You have to make market corrections. If you are actually taking people for the same role at a higher salary from the market, then people who are there in the organization, you need to make market adjustments. Now, okay, fine. So when will I make market adjustments now? If you notice in the annual salary time, the HR will start computing comp ratios for every individual for their entire vertical business. Why do you think they will calculate comp ratio? Because what happens is that Hema and Manish are, say, for example, HR managers in the same grade 3 with a performance rating of 4. Okay. Hema is at 110% comp ratio. Manish is at only 90% comp ratio. Same grade. Okay. Now, what will I do? I'll say rating is the same. So the amount of increment, what Hema will get is much lesser than the amount of increment Manish gets. Manish will get a higher increment that's called salary adjustment. So what happens, organizations, they will take the cognizant of the fact that there are some people with lower comp ratios, but who have performed equally well. So I need to make adjustments. So maybe one adjustment, or if that is not good enough, then they'll have to make 2 adjustments to bring them up to par. Are you with me, guys, on that? Huh? So So comp ratios, I will show you some more detailing in the PPT, but because we have this now, this is the salary range. What is the salary range here? 8,000 to 12,000. Okay. Now, I want to recruit a person. So I cannot say I will give him, I'm wanting to recruit him in L1, lesser than 8,000. Okay. So you may have recruited people, lesser than the minimum. That's called what? Green circle. What is it called?
Green circle.
Green circle. That means you have to actually bring them up to the at least the minimum. Are you with me? You
Yes.
have to bring them up to the minimum. Now that is easy. Green means go. So you have to give them a higher. Now I have reached up to 12,000 here. Okay. Now, but I'm a very good, Hema is a very good, what is it, performer. But she has reached up to the maximum. Now, what do I do? Do I give her an increment? I cannot promote her also. So do I give her an increment? So those people are called, they have reached the
Red
Red
dots.
circle.
red circle. It's really red. You can't give an extra increment. You can't factor it in the base salary because then what will happen? You can't extrapolate, which normally, if you don't have salary structures, that's what they do. You don't know where it begins and where it ends. Okay. So now, but he has performed well. So what do you do then? You give a performance bonus equivalent to what you have to give to keep him motivated, right? But but you cannot give him the increment which gets factored into his base salary. Are you with me? Now, even this performance bonus, you can do it at least 1 year, 2 years. You can't keep him having performance bonus for 5 years and 6 years. Okay. So either you ensure that he gets promoted in 1, 2 years, or sometimes look at other functions or job families where he can be shifted at a higher grade. Then once he gets a higher grade, then he can continue with it. Very clear? I spoke about two concepts, comp ratio and green circle and red circle. So these are very, very important from the point of what? Wage cost, impact on salary. Yeah. So in fact, when I talked about this is the most interesting thing. Okay. So when you're calculating comp ratios, you can also calculate what? Group comp ratios. Like for example, here there are 3 people working, say in one small department. You can actually look at both individual comp ratios and also group comp ratios. Because why should you look at group comp ratio? If it is more than one, or so like here it is 1.05. So that means it is beyond midpoint. You have to be cognizant of the fact that, hey, how am I paying and where is the cost increasing? All right. So this gives you an indication of where your wage cost is increasing. Okay. So this is what I explained to you. Typically what happens, in my compensation policy, I will say, hey, when I'm actually taking people at a recruitment level, then I'm acquiring talent maybe at an 80%. And if I'm saying, exceptional, then it's very exceptional. But what happens is typically you vacillate between 80 and 100. You never take it a 110 or 120% because then that is a wage cost, very high cost for you. Okay. I want to show you this. Which department has the highest comp ratio here?
The first executive PA.
Yeah.
Executive PA.
And which has the least
Payments.
Payments.
payments? Payments, right? Where is HR? HR is, say, generally about
Mid.
95% to, I think,
Wait.
1. So when you do comp ratios calculated by department, you also have an understanding as to where is your wage cost actually high, very high.
Okay.
I'm sure you know how to calculate the average comp ratios. Like for example here, when you're calculating, you can calculate it at an individual level, you can calculate it at a functional level, unit level, location level, and also at a organizational level. Got it? At an organizational level. And then you can actually then find out, hey, in which department is your comp ratio very high? Like, for example, this is one department where you can actually see that this guy's salary is pretty high. So you would like to check, because one is always the midpoint, 100%. So 126%. So you would like to see why. So you can actually then become cognizant of the fact that whether he's a highly tenured person, with a number of years of experience, has he reached the maximum, etc., etc. Okay. Now, so this is what I was talking about with reference to performance rating and how your comp ratios help. Let me help you in understanding. All of you are very familiar with the performance rating, right? At the end
Yes.
of the year. So typically, what do you have? You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 to 5. This is a performance rating scale, which is 1 is unacceptable, 2 is improvement expected, successful is 3, exceeds expectations, outstanding. This is clear? Okay. This is your, okay, proficiency to expecting, exceeding. This is your range. Now, say this is your comp ratio. This is less than 94. This is between comp ratio of 95% to 1, midpoint almost, right? Huh? And this
Yes.
is higher. This is higher. Now, you would have identified people, when during annual increment. So, supposing somebody is here, okay, with a 4 rating. What will happen? That person and some is here. The comp ratio is here. So that person gets a higher rating as in compared to somebody who's here. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
2 people in the same grade, but with a difference of comp ratio, but rating is the same. So I will try to kind of adjust it. So again, likewise, so in fact, where is it? Maybe this. No, not this one. Yeah. This is almost similar. You getting me? Somebody who has a 74% comp ratio, if he's at a rating of 5, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 rating, he gets a 20% increment. But somebody who is already at 115% and over gets only 5% increment. So this is a matrix which you will actually then work out and then start giving during the annual increment so that you can make necessary adjustments. Okay, guys? Any questions here in comp ratios where especially related to the performance increment, etc.? Any questions? Hema, just give me a thumbs up if this is very clear. And let me see
Clear,
that
ma'am.
one which was
Yes, ma'am.
clear. And there
Yeah.
was one. Yeah. This is something which I was explaining. If this is a salary range, this is the minimum and this is the maximum. Got it? So whoever is here, you can't pay below, which is called the green circle. And if a person has reached here, then what will happen? He falls under the red circle.
Red circle.
So he is not eligible for the increment. But you can give him a performance bonus. Okay? Red circle and green circle. Very clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So any questions? And there was one more slide which I think I didn't explain. I just saw that and I thought of, yeah.
One
So this is
question.
a slide which shows how you use actually a comp ratio, typically, say for example, if this is your range, how do you, typically people who are at an 85 and 85 to, so what is the kind of, again related at an entry level what do you do, at an intermediate level what do you do, and if it's really good then you pay this much. So this is a slide which I will send it to you. A person who's very highly tenured, then where will you fit him? That is the one. Okay, all right. Any questions, so that we can then take a small break and then we will talk about external equity. Any questions thus far?
Ma'am, one
No, ma'am.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, this is once the employee has reached the red circle, so if we will not be giving an increment in the real time, is it be possible after
Yes.
reaching the fourth quarter, if we not give increment, will they stay?
This is what? This is Meghana or who's talking?
Hema.
Hema, let me tell you, when you say, how can I not give increment, that means then you don't have a pay structure.
No, I'm asking after reaching the red circle, like fourth quartile, in that
Right.
particular band.
Right. So how can you give an increment if he has reached the maximum, Hema? Tell me. Now, I'm just giving you a logic, Hema. First of all, that's where most of the organizations where I have done consulting, I've seen that most of the organizations. So supposing I'm here, the person has done, and then they'll just give increment. Now, you're only extending that grade to what? How long will you extend it off? You don't have a grade structure. Because when you see, when you put a grade structure in place, then you have to be, you have to follow certain discipline. Now, say for example, when you are recruiting a candidate, he's very good, everything, and he's asking for a certain amount of salary, which is you are now recruiting. Say for example, hypothetical case, I'm recruiting Hema as a HR head, okay, and this she is asking for a salary which is beyond the maximum range in this particular grade where I am actually recruiting her. Then will you give? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So when you're recruiting, also you have to have a certain discipline, right? This is the grade, this is the min, and this is the maximum for that grade, and this is the midpoint. Okay. And now, if you are going to give 80% comp or 90% comp ratio or 100% or 110%, it all depends on with what kind of experience, tenure, knowledge that person is coming. Okay, that person is coming with 15 years of experience, knowledge, but do you want a person at that high cost there in your organization at this point of time? That's a call you have to take, right? But even if you are taking that person almost, say here, so that person will get increment only one more year. Then after that, have you already planned that after 1 year, then he will get promotion? Many a times we don't think of all these things. We only think at that point of time, hey, can I actually get this candidate? Can I close this number? And that's it. Business wants it as of yesterday. They are saying just plug and pay, get a person. But You have to first discuss, you have to have a pay structure, you have to talk to the, so that's why talent acquisition team has to work closely with the compensation team. Otherwise, your structures will go heavy.
Mm.
Are you getting me what I'm trying to say? Because if you're going to give an increment, that means you're obviously you're stretching this grade.
Okay, ma'am.
You can give a performance bonus. So now that is something which you need to really go back and look at your grade structures. Let me be very clear. Okay. It's very, very important to look at your grade structure because every grade will have a min and a max, and depending on how many years of tenurity you want to keep. Now, there are other structures. Let me also tell you. Where is Venkat here? Venkat is not there. Let me tell you in IT what is happening now. Now, I will be going by the totally a pay structure, which is market driven. And what does it mean, market driven? Any clue? All the 20 positions, 30 positions, or 40 positions I will actually map them to the market. And I will actually create a pay structure based on not internal equity at all, totally on market based. As per the market, I will be taking a call on it, whether I want to give a little less or more compared to that. Because my industry, because most of the IT organizations, they are market driven because what was yesterday, technology is obsolete today. So they cannot afford to have grade structures. So they typically go on market driven and then they will create the structures based on their own pay. Okay. So we will come to, when we talk about salary, then we will be talking about that as well. Okay. So let us get on to, so I was wanting to show you a compensation policy. Every organization has a compensation policy, Uh, this compensation policy helps you to understand. If you take a look at, in fact, it helps you to really scope out everything in terms of what this policy does is it gives you a definition of, hey, what is the structure going to be? Can you see? Compensation structure going to be, that is the pay mix. Will it have base salary, variable, long term, whatever? Then what do they mean by it when you say annual guaranteed pay? Then they also talk about the entire job, grade, performance, experience, and their market pay position. Where do they want to position themselves? Then by variable pay, what do they mean? What kind of variable pay? Then what kind of benefits? Then bonuses, talks about guaranteed bonuses. Then severance pay. So this is a document which helps you to understand everything with regard to the entire components of the compensation system we talked about, the deferred pay, the long term, see stock options, everything. Okay. So I just thought I will show you. In fact, it talks also about compa ratios, fitment of new hires, increments, pay revisions, promotions, all that. Okay. I will send this to you as an attachment. Okay. So let me just ask you, what did we cover in the first, before you went for a break? Let me see if people are there, presence of mind. Huh? What are those
Midpoint
one or two things we
calculation,
talked about?
compa ratio,
Pardon?
compa ratio, midpoint calculation, the
Okay.
green circle and the red circle.
Red circle. Great. So a lot
Yeah.
of people remember now. Good. Good. The salary range, huh? A pay structure, what does it have? Various salary ranges of min and max at every grade, right? Okay, that's important so that we can do the other session of external equity. Then you'll be able to understand the external equity very well. All right.
I have a question, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Because by then I will also. This is Venkat, if I'm right. Yeah. Yes, Venkat.
Is that Venkat or someone else?
No,
Huh?
no, it's not me actually.
Uh-huh. Who is it? Yeah. Who has a question? I heard somebody saying I have a question, but then thereafter, huh?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
Mahendra.
have the
So,
question.
yeah, please tell me. Please tell me.
So I have seen few people keep getting increment in the same band, and organization
Okay.
don't want to promote them because they are doing the
Okay.
same repetitive job. But
Okay.
after many years of getting increment, they come into the red circle. So,
Hmm.
what is the good solution for them to either to promote because organization don't want to promote because they are not eligible. So
Yeah.
what can be the solution, best solution?
No, in fact, this is a common thing and a lot of organizations have. So first of all, you will have to group your jobs in terms of, you will see in a manufacturing organization, on the shop floor, you will see there are certain jobs, like say a workman, you know, he will be getting, and I mean, he will be there, he cannot be promoted. So there are jobs like support, right? So essentially, when you're doing what I meant to say is pay structuring, you'll also look at classifying them into support, managerial, professional, technical. So in many organizations, you'll have different grade structures. You will not mix a technical IT person with some role, some job which cannot be promoted. He's doing the repetitive job for many years. That's the first thing. Are you getting my point, Mahindra? That
Yeah. So
you're
my
not
question.
going to mix jobs. So you will be grouping them because there will definitely be certain jobs which are repetitive and which you don't want to lose that person also because you don't want and these are not jobs which can be promoted as well. Okay, right?
Hmm.
And yes, having said that, sometimes think about it. You will have a structure where there is something called a stay period.
Okay. Or
Why I
and
said that? Huh?
yeah, and I think their band should be not should not be narrow. Should be much
No, no, I'm
wider.
coming to one point
Yeah.
where if you're going to give increment, what happens?
They will be in the
The
red
look
circle.
at this. The cost, no. The wage cost increases, but there's certain value out of it, no? You are getting certain value out of it in the sense that
Hmm.
for the job he is performing, you cannot say, for example, simple example, you'll understand. Driver, okay?
Hmm.
Just because he is there in the organizations for many years, every year you will give him an increment and will you make his salary up to 1 lakh?
No.
Hmm? You won't, right?
No.
But you will say, hey, I mean, so you have to identify such jobs. Are you with me?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So you have to identify those jobs because in every organization there'll be. Then you have to treat them separately. Like for example, I'll tell you in my case, like in the last organizations where I was working, this was a KPO, but there were some jobs in certain verticals where if I had kept the person for more than 7 to 8 years, the cost, the salary would increase. But what would happen? My revenue would decrease. I
Hmm.
also have to look at my profit margin. No, I can't keep increasing my wage cost because there is something like wage cost to employee. Huh? What is the revenue? So if the wage cost is higher, then my profit margins get reduced. So every business head is responsible for that ratio of what is it. So what will he do? I won't name the company. There was this company couple of years ago, I think in 2001, 2000, no, 2020 or something. They let go of 2,000 people. Okay.
Hmm.
And they said, hey, they are downsizing. They have downsized 2,000 people. But at the same time, they've also hired 2,000 people. What do you think they would have done? They were downsizing also, but they were also hiring. What is the message you get? What do you think must have happened?
Their employees
Huh?
were
To
overpaid.
reduce wage cost.
Huh?
To reduce wage cost.
Compa ratio. People who are sitting on all high salaries, they said go, and we will take people at a low. Huh?
Lower salaries. Yeah.
So they are trying to
Mhm.
maintain a very good internal equity. And because
You
of the
getting me? No?
being in for a very long
You
period
get
of time,
all,
they
you
must
say, oh
be
my God,
getting high
are
salary.
you so you have to do that constantly. You can't be emotional that hey, this guy has been there for so many years, we have to keep him. Getting I hope you got the message, Mahendra. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all about the cost and what do you get in turn, the revenue, right? And because it's an affordability, it is also important that you make profits. So even in your compensation policy, you have to document that from where are you going to get talent, at what percentile are you going to get talent, what are those markets you are looking at, all such things. Okay. So we are now coming to that called external equity. As we had said, we have external equity is also very, very important. What do you think? What is external equity? We already discussed, right? It's all about competitiveness. And if I want to know, if I want to maintain, to be very competitive, what should I know? I should know the market. What is market essentially? That means those companies who are into the similar businesses from where I recruit or from where my employees actually what attract and go and join them. Here, companies who are my competitors or who are using my skill sets, etc. I need to understand that happens to be my market. So when we talk about external equity, essentially what it is, it's all about market pricing. It's all about market pricing. What is the market paying? In fact, let me tell you, one of the major reasons we lose people is because most of the time employees compare. Today, data is everywhere. Go to Glassdoor, go to any of these Naukri, Monster.coms, you will get readily available data. And based on that data, they keep, even when you have to acquire people, they say, hey, I want to, so they know exactly what is the kind of a salary your competitors are paying, right? They're able to negotiate. So, therefore, it's very, very important that if I do not know the market, I tend to either pay more or I pay less. But if I pay more, what happens? My profits get reduced. If I pay less, what happens? I'm not able to attract and I'm also not able to retain my people. Okay. Now, also, market, when I get to know the market, I also am able to understand hey, what is the kind of pay policy I want to maintain? So, when I say pay policy, what does it mean? Whether I want to lead the market, means pay more than the market, or whether I want to pay less than the market, or I want to be on par with the market. Now, can you see here? It's already written this is lagging the market. If I want to explain this, say I'm a company, I'm paying, this is the salary line, okay? This is salary. So I'm paying at this level. And the market is moving. Market is always, market is at the same place when you started. But it's like market share keeps going up and down. But when I fix a salary, I can't keep changing, right? I will be paying the same salary at least for a year. So I'm paying the same salary. But market is moving. So what happens? It's called market is paying more. So it is called lagging. Here, what is happening? Anybody who can explain this figure? Take a guess and I think it's important. Yeah, anybody? Okay, let's check with Meghna.
I'm paying less than the market here.
More than the market.
That's the point that
So
I'm talking.
typically, what happens?
The arrow where it is,
I'm-
that is.
This company is here where what am I doing? I'm paying.
If it is the point there, I'm paying
The
more than the
company is
market.
here, and this is the market. So, sometime maybe in June, July, I've taken a position, and I said at that time the market was here. Okay, so I'm
Then I'm
paying
paying
more than the
more than the
okay.
market.
So I'm continuing, but the market. So if my financial year is from April to March, so April I'm here and the market is here, and I pay the same thing for the entire financial year. Market, which was paying lesser than me, started increasing, and market. So for some time I was leading, and then for some time I was lagging.
Lagging.
Here it is both lead because market is here, but when it started increasing, but I'm here only. So for some time here, I'm lagging. So it is both lead and lag.
Lag.
Most of the organizations have a policy of lead and lag. Okay?
Ma'am, but sorry, Sushma here.
Yeah.
Why do companies have this lead and lag concept in that case? Like, isn't it better as a company for us to always be leading when it comes to pay? Why do we lead and then lag behind the market? Like, why do companies do
Sure.
that?
Sure.
For some,
Say, for example, my financial year is from April to March. Got it? Huh? So looking at the market data, I said I will pay more than the market. Okay. But what market about percentile, I'll tell you later. But I'm just right now saying I'm going to pay more than the market, what the market is paying. Got it? So the market was here. So in April, I'm paying here. But what happened? April, May, June, July, then after that, market was paying more. Market is something, it keeps increasing. Salaries in the market, right? Huh? So the market was paying, but when I have taken, I don't change the compensation every 3 months or 6 months, right? Unless and
Right.
until it is like an IT market where sometime it happened that every 6 months they used to get a what is it, increment, because the market was so dynamic at that point of time.
Then
Okay.
is it that companies like for example, let's say my company decides to or has this sort of a strategy. Then is it because of companies like this that some roles get a tremendous slope in their pay grade, where the slope that we're seeing here, is it because of companies which adopt this lead and lag market strategy that some jobs are just like rising in their salary structure?
No. You have to think about what are those conditions or what is it making. Companies do not
No,
on their
so
own.
where I'm coming from is now, let us say we are in one sector and there are only 3 companies, yours, mine,
Right.
and someone else's company.
Right, right.
Now I will lead the market and I will say for this, everyone is paying 30,000, I will pay 50,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll stay
But
at that
now-
1 minute.
No, but
So
now
when I'm trying, yeah,
the other 2 companies will do a benchmarking and they will say, oh, because of this benchmarking, the salary has risen. So now they will start paying 50,000. Right? So is it like we are only fueling this salary hike is what I'm asking.
spiraling, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So that's one point. Let me come to you. So, but why would they do that? Only when they feel that yes, because the demand for those positions is so high. Now my business needs this skill set, so I'll have to pay 2 times more or 1.5 times more. Are you with me?
Understood. Yeah.
Now, I'll give you a very good example. Now, if you look at most of the automobile companies, the automobile sector, it's highly competitive, right? It's highly competitive. And what do? Any cost of operational cost, where does the impact show? Either you'll have to absorb it. Absorbing means that your profits will go down, or then you'll have to add it to your cost of the product, right? Yes or no? Huh? You have to factor that into your cost of your product, because otherwise your profit share will go down. Now, it's so competitive that you can't increase the cost of the product because it's highly competitive. And obviously, the customer will say, hey, it's the same product, so I might as well buy that, which is at a lesser cost. So, how does the automobile sector contain their costs? They have this called something like the cartel system, where if you go to Gurgaon, where all these automobile ancillaries also are there, to ensure that their products are not, they don't increase the wage cost. They strictly do not get into anything called poaching. Why? Because they know that if today I'm going to take somebody from there, it will only spiral and it will give me that spiraling effect. Okay. So strictly, a guy knows that I can't really jump from one organization to another for a higher salary. Like where you have mentioned, like these three companies, if they are there, the competition is between them only, then what will happen? Just like airlines. So lot many times
I'm in the
to
EV
reduce this
sector.
kind of a scene. Pardon?
I'm in the EV sector.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Okay.
think currently we are also facing this sort of a similar thing where employees are just jumping from one sector to another because it's a very closed market and not everyone has experience in electric vehicles.
Right, right. Absolutely. I quite agree with you. If you recall, the IT market, how people jump, though the apex body of IT tried to do all those things. Yes, at that point of time, in fact, as an HR head, I used to lose some critical positions and I used to talk to them. And the manager would say, hey, no, but the head HR would say, but we entered into agreement saying that we non-poaching kind of a thing. But what happens is, yes, for some time, uh, that effect is there. But what you need to actually build, there are alternative things. You need to build talent pipelines in order to reduce this kind of a thing. That's what we did. Because you can't really restrict people, with all those, contracts and agreements, etc. People will still move, right? So you need to definitely have some kind of a backup plan, succession plan, because no employee, you can't say, hey, he's going to be loyal and he's going to be here for the next 10 years and 15 years. If he stays for 5 years, that's great enough. So what I call it as human capital readiness. Maybe I'll show it in the next session. So we have to actually take cognizance of the fact that what are those key strategic positions, not necessarily middle or top, but they would also be at a lower level, which are very, very key to the outcomes and the results of the product. So we need to actually ensure that we have a good talent pipeline built. I mean, this is the only way we actually tried it out. This is a best tried solution for such situations, because you can't keep escalating, you can't keep increasing the salary of people, because if you keep increasing, how much can you increase? And do you think that is a sure test for retaining your employees? Is it not, right? Yeah. So yeah. So it's a good example. So what Shushma was that Shushma was talking about the lead and lag and how it happens in certain closed, like she gave an example of this electrical vehicle today, how much of competition is there, because especially when there is no a dearth of talent for any new product. Likewise, even in IT, this happens. But after some time, then the supply increases, the demand gets reduced, and the supply is there more. It's not, it is only for a shorter time. That's the time you're also looking at hot skill bonuses, a lot of these additional kind of incentives. Nothing factoring into your base salary, because then that becomes a higher wage cost. Okay. Yeah. Then I'm sure you have also looked at this, where what's happening here. The company is always, there are certain companies who are always leading, like the Googles or the Microsofts, because why? Now, again, why do you want to lead the market? Because you want the best talent. Affordability. You can afford to get the best talent because you are in a product leadership company or whatever. There are certain positions which definitely lead. So your lead lag and the lead on par need not be across the organization. They can also be for certain unique positions. Are you with me? They can be, maybe you're leading for certain 10 or 15 positions, like you're an EV sector. So you might take a lead stand, you might pay maybe 80th percentile or a 90th percentile for certain few positions which are really in demand and which are very unique for you, strategic for you. Okay. But then the rest, you will say, hey, I don't mind actually lagging because there's a huge supply. Or maybe you have a strategy called build strategy. That is, you are building talent for all those things. In the sense, you take them at an entry level. What does Infosys do? It can't afford to have a lead. You know what is the kind of a market position it takes? It pays around 65th on an average. The average percentile is 65th percentile at best. But what does it say? It has built an employer branding. It says, hey, we take 80% of the people at an entry level or 90%, and we build, we invest in them, and we develop the skills. And of course, we have certain kind of conditions, we have retentions and deferred payments, etc., etc. But we ensure, because that's the time we want, and we get them at a lesser cost. And then we build them. Okay, so that's the buy and the build strategy, which a mom and pop shop can't have because they don't have the bandwidth. So they're all the time buying from the market. So they obviously they have to buy at a higher cost. All right. So typically, what happens when you want to maintain competitiveness? You have to know what the market pricing is. So how do we go about? You do a salary survey. Salary survey. Now everybody thinks, hey, salary survey. What are the key elements in a salary survey? Let us look at it. What are the key things you think when you want to get what is being paid in the market? All of you are so tenured. What is the most important thing? A couple of things which you think you should do. Anybody who has done a salary or whatever? The first and the foremost thing is what? I'll just write the key elements first of all.
The job
Role mapping.
roles.
Pardon?
The role mapping,
Yeah.
ma'am, internal.
One second. Yeah. Somebody was saying the internal. What can I just write down that? What is that internal you are talking about?
Internal role mapping.
Roles, job roles.
Yeah, I'll use this tick and then okay. The first and the foremost thing we do is, for what roles are we wanting to get the market data?
Benchmarking data.
That means
Role
identifying,
mapping.
huh?
Role mapping, ma'am.
Identifying roles, or we can also call it role mapping. Why did we say role mapping? Anybody? So the first and the foremost thing when we do a salary survey, we also call them as
Benchmarking.
positions, right? Huh? Benchmark positions. What do I mean by benchmark positions? I have to understand first. Before I say I have to select benchmark positions. What do I mean by them? I want to list out those roles or those positions which are there, similar jobs, roles in the market. Because if I'm going to pick up some roles for which I can't find similar roles in the market, then how will I get the market data, right? So those jobs, I have to identify those jobs which I can find them in the market. Similar jobs which are doing the same content, same work. Okay, so these are called typically identifying benchmark positions. Now, when I talk about identifying benchmark positions, these positions should be not just at one level, top level, middle level, or lower level. They should be across all levels, at least 50%. Sorry, 50% to 60%, cutting across all levels, lower, middle level jobs, and identifying those jobs which are consistent over a period of time, 3 to 4 years, 5 years, not those positions which are changing all the time. You may say, then if I'm only taking these positions and then getting the data from the market, what about those positions which are not available in the market? You may ask a question. How will you do that then? Anybody has an answer for that?
We'll map the similar role which is very near to that.
Very true. That is called. Then we use what? Slotting.
Slotting.
That's called slotting. Even if you're doing point method, now I may have a lot of job. I will do jobs for all the jobs. I have to do job evaluation. I will do the point value. But I may get market data only for maybe 70% of the positions or 80% of the positions, and 20% of the positions I have not got market data because those positions are not there. Okay. Now, how will I predict salary for those positions or jobs? The consultants or Aon, Merso, hey, what do they do? You have calculated slope and intercept value. So to calculate the salary to be paid for that organization, you only need slope value and intercept value, because salary is equal to slope multiplied by the point value plus intercept. So the same slope and intercept value can be used to calculate the pay value for the rest of the positions. Got it, guys? Huh? So this is called, so even in salary survey, you may get similar, you may not have similar jobs, 10%, 15%, because they're unique to your organization. So then you do slotting and you get that. Okay. So that's the first thing, benchmark positions. Okay. Now, once you have done the benchmark positions, you have identified the roles. Okay. Then what do? You have to actually do something called very interesting. Okay, we'll say you have to identify who is your competition, that is peers
Competitive, yes,
or competitions,
peer companies.
or from where you want to get the data. That is important, no?
Yes, yes.
Because if you have not identified the right peers, market is big, you're in an EV market, then you will actually then look at the kind of positions and you will say, hey, so now typically I lose to these people, my people go and join them, or I actually recruit from them, or these are some of the key skill sets, technologies, etc. So these are being utilized by some other companies or some other sectors also, so I can also look at them, not necessarily the same. So you can look at your by industry, and very important to look at size. Then geography is very important, right? Then what are the kind of skill sets, competencies, what are you looking at? Okay. So all these are important. How does geography come into play when you're looking at market? Any idea? Why should geography also be looked at when you're
The
looking at
cost of
market?
living expenses is different from metro
Will you
cities to
one region?
urban.
Okay, that I agree. But
Also the
also
market
look
value.
at it. Look at the pyramid. Look at saying that, hey,
That's it.
at a lower level, am I getting talent pan India or only from that particular location? So if I get market data pan India, is that going to make an impact for me? Is that, huh? Are you with me now? So you may have to also look at geographies in terms of what kind of data for whom are you looking. So typically when you look at an entry level, lower level, you are looking at it local level. And when you are looking at a middle level, maybe pan India, and depending on your recruitment strategies, top management, you are also maybe looking at a global level. Does it make sense, guys? Huh? So
Yeah.
the geography also becomes very important. Now, once you have identified, etc., and you have said, hey, these are the industries I want to get data. Now, the most important thing is what? Very important. What is job matching? I will not be looking at data just by saying, okay, see, I have to collect data for my HR manager. So I will look at just HR manager title and go and look at HR manager of what is it, other organizations, my market, HR manager. No. So typically when you're doing a salary survey or a market pricing, when you're doing job matching, you are going by the job content, not
Definitely.
titles. Do you think that makes a difference?
Yes,
Because
it does.
your HR manager may be doing things which are over and above or not even matching with other person, right? So when we say job matching, first of all, I need to look at job content, and at least there should be a match of, typically they say 80% match. No? Because if you're not matching very well, 80% apples to apples, then whatever data you're going to get from the market will be so different. This is the foundation for a proper salary survey. Because if you're not getting accurate data, because these days, what happens? There is all free data flowing, Glassdoor. How authentic and how accurate it is. Will you use it for your benchmarking data? You can't. Because you don't know. I will say I will put something, somebody will say put something. So how can you be very sure about that data? So in data, when you collect, accuracy is very important, what they are reporting, right? Okay. So accuracy is very important. In order to do that, either you can do, you can either participate in a salary survey, or you can get a what? If you have a huge problem, then you can get a customized survey. If you participate in a survey, you will get a report. You will get, or you can do a customized survey, or you can also buy what? You agree? You can also buy published survey, but don't bank on free data getting somewhere. Okay. When you're especially doing a very important exercise like benchmarking exercise. So what are the 3 or 4 things which are very, very important in a salary survey is A, identifying your benchmark roles. B, identifying your market with whom you want to compare. Okay. 3, then looking at job matching. Don't go by title, but go by content, and ensure that you are actually getting your accurate data. Okay. Then what do you do when you get your data? Then you are collecting, analyzing, and then what? Using it for your own comparisons. Let's see how we go about with that. I just wanted to give you an overview so that you really understand very well rather than just taking you through. I'll show. Okay. So I told you that typically you can look at 10 to 12 companies, and the criteria is, I told you, size and presence, geography. Okay. All that. And when you're doing job matching, you're also looking at, which is also called, we use a word called equivalence. What is it we call? equivalence. So you're looking at all this, okay? Experience, scope, responsibilities, unique knowledge, etc. Yeah, this is just to say that, why I gave this, saying that, every company strategizes this compensation depending on what kind of a business cycle they are in. At a startup, you might have a different compensation strategy. At a growth stage, you might have different, maturity different, and a decline, you have a different compensation strategy. Okay. Let us quickly go to stop share. Has anybody seen I'll show, it's fairly a little old. Has anybody seen a report, a compensation report? This is an old report of Watson Wyatt, and it's a little simple and easy to understand. So I thought probably this will be a very good thing to show. So I'm showing you a report where there are 65 benchmarked positions. All right. How many positions? 65 benchmarked positions. And how many employers? That is, the market is 25 employers. Now, if you see the market, typically all this Gyan is there. It's an IT market, okay? And yeah. So these are those 65 positions under different job families, you can call, or job functions. So you have something called consulting business unit, okay? Then you have non-consulting business unit. Then you have marketing and communication, you have administration, you have finance. These are the various departments or the functions or job families. And then you have different jobs at different levels. So in consulting, starting from senior vice president to a junior software engineer. Like in admin, you have a vice president to a junior executive. Again, in finance, you have a vice president to executive. And in marketing and communication, you have marketing head to marketing executive, sales. So these are all, and human resource, you have these are the benchmark positions. Now, what did I say? Now, these are the benchmark positions. That means all of them have their job descriptions, and the data has been collected from 25 companies. Okay. So which are the 25 companies? So all these are the 25 companies, if you notice. So if you look at all these companies, they're all what? IT software development companies. Okay. IT software companies. Say, for example, you are a software company ABC Limited. All right. Then what would you do? You are going to compare those positions you have with the market data here and see where do I stand. Are you with me? But you are not going to add that data to this. You're not going to compare yourself with yourself. Okay, that's one thing you need to be very, very clear. Okay. Second, first of all, when you have a data like this, a published data, right? You are a ABC Limited software company. So you look at these 25 companies. Are they similar? Are they doing the same business, etc., size, industry, etc.? But you are a chip company. It's a higher-end business. So it may not be very wise to compare yourself with these 25 software companies. Are you with me? So what is that first thing you need to understand is, am I in the same business? With a similar size, scope, etc. Only then you need to compare yourself. Okay. Having said that, you said, yes, it's good. I want to know. Now, all this is all Gyan. So let me now first take you to the data and then explain all this. Typically, when you get a data, what do? You do statistical analysis. Okay. We do statistical analysis. So what does it say? Summary sheet. What does this say? Total. Are you able to see, or shall I make it a little bigger?
No, we can see.
Now you can see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does this say? Total guaranteed cash. Now please check in the report, what do they mean by total guaranteed cash? So when I say what do they mean by total guaranteed cash, you have to look at the components. What are those components which, don't assume, which they have added as total guaranteed cash, so that you get an understanding of this is what is the total guaranteed cash. Now, having said that, please understand now. So say, for example, you have cleared that. Now, you're looking at a senior vice president consulting. You're also having a senior vice president consulting, and you've looked at job matching, and it is the same. Now, say with 15 years of experience, okay, at a 50th percentile. So, first of all, whenever data is shown in a salary survey, you are given as 10 percentile, 25th percentile, 50th, 75th, and 90th. Now, what does a percentile mean? What does a percentile mean? Anybody? What does a percentile mean?
You are better than, if it is a 90th percentile, then you are better than the 90% of all senior vice presidents who are in consulting.
Okay. I'll just close this for a minute, and let me just, so that it has to be very clear. Otherwise, what happens? You will have a
This
issue.
will be the bell
And
curve we are talking about. Then, if you're talking about
one second,
percentile.
I will just show you everything. Okay. So when I say percentile, say if I say I'm again using Arjun as a example. Arjun has got say 80% marks in maths. Is that the same as 80th percentile?
No. No.
Hmm?
No.
So I'll say 1 second. So he's got 80% marks in maths. So this is out of 100, he's got 80, right? This is an absolute
Percentage.
number.
Percentage.
Okay? Absolute number. But if I say Arjun has got 95 marks, which is I mean, he is at 95th percentile. Okay, he's at a 95th percentile. What does it mean? That means 95 people have got less than him.
95% people, basically.
Yeah, and he's got 80 marks, which is
Yes.
a 95th percentile. Okay, you got only 80 marks, but which is a 95th percentile. That means 95 people have got less than you, and only 5% have got more. Today in CAT exam, when we say, hey, he got 98%, sorry, he got 98%, but still he was only at a 85th percentile. What does it mean?
That means
He got
15%.
85 people got lesser than him, lesser than 98, and
But
50,
15 are above him.
15 people are above him. Are you very clear? Huh?
Yeah.
So percentile is relative. Percentile is relative. Now, how do you calculate percentile? So before showing that, I wanted to show you. How do you calculate percentile? This is the key, and this is very important. Yeah, I think we are running time. It's okay. I hope it's okay with you all. So, say for example, I'm a software company and I want to employ software developer at an entry level. Okay. I don't know what salary to pay. I'm a new startup. Or say this EV company, it wants to recruit software developers, but I want to pay at a 85th percentile. That's all I know. 85th percentile. Okay. What will I do?
I said 80%, 85th percentile of the market. So what will I do? Then I will look at some companies, right? So here, say for example, I've looked at A, B, C, D, F, G, H, Q. These are all these companies. I've got market data who are paying like this, 22,000 per month, 17,000 per month, 34. So this is my array of data. Got it? Please, just give me a thumbs up. This is the array of data. Done? So if this is the array of data, now these are the companies I'm competing with. Now I want to pay 85th percentile. How will I know which is 85th percentile? What will I do? Quick. Anybody? I just go to formula, insert function. Okay. All that I do is what? If I want to do a 85th percentile, go to percentile. And then say, okay, array. Then click here. And then drag this array here. Okay. Then K. What will be my K? 85. So I have to put 0.85. All right. And then say, okay. Got it? It went off somewhere. Okay, let me first put here. I'll
I
put
think
here. Then I'll get it.
column C,
Yeah.
row 5, I think that got changed.
No, I'm putting it here so that you can see. I'll do it again. Huh? So what am I doing? Insert function. Percentile. Okay. Then array. Okay. Then K. 0.85. What is the amount?
22,090.
22,090. So that is the 85th percentile. So if I want to know the percent rank, I've already done percent rank here. So again, I will do 85th percentile is what percent rank. I will just show you. Let me again put it like this, here. Then insert function, percent rank. Okay. All right. Okay. Array. X. What is percent rank? That means I want to know particular amount at what percent rank it is. So say for example, I'm taking that 22,090 is not there, but I'll just take anyone. Say this 22,000. Okay. Then, okay. What is it? 0.714. What does it mean? So here, if you look at percent rank, which is the least in this data? 0. This is the least. Your range is 14,000. And what is the max? 34,000. Okay. Now you want to know, median. You want to know the what? 50th percentile is your median data, right? So you want to know which is the median. Then what will you do? 50th percentile. So you want me to calculate again, insert function? Okay, let me just cancel this. Huh? Insert function. Oh, I cancelled it while it. Okay. Yeah. Percentile. Okay. Array. Okay. Oh. Okay. So your 0.5. So your 50th percentile is how much? 18,000.
18. Okay.
Okay. So when you are representing your data, so you may be doing 10 companies, maybe 8 companies or 50 companies, but then that gets doing a percentile exercise, statistical percentile exercise, then you can get the 50th percentile, the 25th percentile. So typically, normally what we do is 10, 25, 50, 75 and 90. Okay. Now you know how to calculate percentile, please. Do you know that? Yeah.
Can we go back to that data? Because that's important. Let me quickly show how to do that data. Okay. Yeah. So now you know that these 25 companies, so 50th percentile of vice president is this much, 25th percentile is this much. Say, for example, your vice president is being paid 22 lakhs and you want to position yourself for, say, you know, at a 75th percentile. Ideally, what will you do then typically? That means, first of all, you are paying only 22 lakhs. So where would you be? Between 25th and 50th percentile. Are you getting me now? Huh? If you are paying, say, 27, that means you are paying a little more than 50th percentile. So what do you do then? Then you look at your benchmark position, say if it is a senior vice president director, and say, hey, what am I paying? What is the current salary I'm paying? Vis-a-vis that, where does it, now where is that salary standing out? I need to look at it. Say, for example, if I'm paying 25 lakhs, where would it be for a vice president in the consulting division? Where would you then identify, locate it? Which percentile? Quick. Where would you think? Anybody? Because your 50th percentile is 26 lakhs. So if you are paying, say, around, if you are paying lesser than 26, then it will be lesser than 50th. Or if you are paying around 26 lakhs, it will be here. So if you want to move to, say, 75th percentile, what would you be doing? You'll have to make that course correction, right? But you are not going to pay to this person. You are going to make that correction in the grade. Are you with me? Not to that XYZ, Hema or Meghana or no. You are going to make that correction in your grade structure, saying that, hey, I want to shift my senior vice president people at this. Okay?
Okay.
Are you with me? Guys, I will give you, I want to give you a small exercise, which I think Vilma has already sent it to you. I'll show you which one. It will help you to understand better if you do it in front of me, because then the exercise, is this there? Yeah. Have you got this data?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, you have. This is an individual exercise. You can do it. Now, I'll quickly tell you, and you can do it in 5 or 10 minutes, sir. 5 minutes. So these are the various companies, Wipro, TCS, etc., etc. Okay. Now, they are paying for their software developer grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. And these are the salaries, annual based salaries. You can see Wipro is paying 3 lakhs, this is the data given. Okay. Now, your company is paying this current annual pay. Your company. Got it? This is your company's salary. You can identify it with your company. Okay, current annual pay. Now, I want you to quickly look at 10th percentile, 20th percentile, 50th, 75th, and 90th. For you can do it. Yeah, you can do it for all pay grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Can you quickly do this? I've already done little of this, so can you do this? So this is your market data, and this is your data. So where are you vis-a-vis this? Manish, have you understood what to do?
Yes, ma'am, we understood.
Who wants to put it up so that it helps others also? Yeah, 10th percentile. You want to just show one of the workings, the 90th percentile for pay grade 2?
We have taken from E5 to E14, and the 90th percentile is 0.9. 0.9.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that taken percentile arrived at 5,05,000. The current
Right.
actual pay versus market 50th percentile is 38% for grade 1 and 51 for grade 2, 41 for grade 3.
So are they leading or lagging? Huh? Are they leading or lagging?
Lagging, ma'am.
Lagging?
38%.
Are they lagging with the market? So your current pay, look at it.
Is 38. Sorry.
No.
Current
So
pay
if you
3.6.
3.6 and
Uh-huh.
in grade 1 and look at the 50th percentile.
Yeah.
Are you looking at it?
2.6.
Huh?
Yeah.
So are they, huh? And again, look at it. Your current annual pay is so much, and at a 50th percentile, how much is
Yeah.
it?
They're leading the
Yeah.
market.
Leading,
Yeah.
leading
They are leading the market.
market.
Now, are
Right.
you with me? Huh?
Yes.
You're
Yes,
already
ma'am.
leading the market. Huh? By how much? See, in fact, if you say current actual pay versus market, 38% here, 51% here, and 41% here. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, Hema, can you now stop sharing? Then I will just quickly go to this. Can you stop sharing? Great. Okay. So what did we say? That we will look at data, and then we will design our own salary structure based on our own compensation pay policy, whether we want to lead, lag, etc. Okay. So typically, how does it? This is what you just did. Look at it. Say, for example, this is what is the data. 10th percentile, 25th, 50th, okay, 75 and 90th. Got it? Now, this is the market median. Okay. Now, this is the control point, market median. So what I'm doing, I'm actually going on par with the market, I will say. And I will say, okay, fine, this is my midpoint, which I'm taking as per the market. And I'm trying to create a grade here. So with a minimum of minus 10%, and I will create a plus of 9% here. So min and max, and I've created a grade. So likewise, what will you be doing? You will be creating grades looking at the market data for all your grades. That is the first structure which I showed you, if you recall. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here is just one last learning. Now, I may only look at market data and that. Like, for example, somebody said, no, who's it with the EV? Somebody said electron. So I will say, hey, no, I want to pay more than the median 50th percentile. I want to be at a what 75th percentile, and that will be my midpoint, and I will create my grades. What Google will say, hey, I want to pay at the 90th percentile. So that 90th percentile will become my midpoint, and I will create a grade around it. Are you with me, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, just give me a thumbs up here. Have you understood? Huh? Have you understood? Yeah. So depending on your compensation policy, you can either have the same midpoint or the median of the market data, or you can also say, hey, no, I want to be a lag because the supply and demand, there's a huge supply of talent, and I don't want to be, either lead or on par. Like typically organizations where HR and finance, they want to pay less. They'll say, I will actually pay 10% maybe lesser than the market. So you can actually have a combination saying that for some functions, critical functions, you want to be a lead, you will pay higher than the market. For some, you want to pay lesser than the market. Some you want to pay on par with the market. Are you with me now? So depending on your own compensation philosophy and strategy, you will do that combination. Okay, guys. So this is what it is. I know it's a lot to absorb in a day, in a small session, but with the exercise, you will really understand a lot. Okay. But did you understand, say, what is what is market and what is this mean, median, mode, and percentile? Have you understood how to calculate percentiles? Because that is very important. The qualitative you can actually read up, but the technical part is very important, and how to calculate it and how to interpret it as well. Say, for example, I'm looking at only 8 companies, but still, how will you take out a percentile? Tell me quickly. How will you do the percentile? You have collected data from only 8 companies, not 100 companies. But how will you do a percentile? Can you do a percentile or you can't do a percentile?
You can do a
Can
percentile.
do a
You will
percentile.
still do a percentile only, because that's the basis how you will calculate. So 8 companies will become your array, and you will look at the percentile. Got it?
Right.
Yes.
That will be your range of data from where you have collected your market.